Have you ever noticed that the more you try to control the future, the more your mind invents reasons to panic? And have you ever had a week where nothing looked perfect on paper, yet somehow you felt lighter than you had in months? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are stepping into a story shaped by a weekly Aquarius message that carries a surprisingly timeless lesson. No need to worry, there is much to celebrate. But we are not going to treat that line as a cute slogan. We are going to treat it as a practice. The first idea is this: worry is often the mind trying to pay for safety with imagination, and the price is your peace. The second idea is this: celebration is not only what you do when life goes well. Celebration is what you do when you finally see how karma works in your favor. The moment you choose wisdom, compassion, and steady action. Let me tell you about an Aquarius named Nia. Nia did not call herself an Aquarius out loud very often. She kept it private, like a small charm in her pocket. She was the type of person who looked calm to others, but inside she had a mind that could run 10 miles without moving her feet. She could predict problems before they arrived. She could build backup plans for her backup plans. People praised her for being responsible, for being mature, for being prepared. But what people did not see was how often preparation was just fear wearing professional clothes. That Monday morning began with a familiar feeling. Nia opened her eyes before the alarm and felt a tightness in her chest, as if her body was already bracing for a day that had not even started. She reached for her phone instinctively. Messages, emails, notifications, the modern prayer wheel. Spin it and see what fate has decided. She saw a message from her manager that said they needed to talk later. No details, no explanation, just those words. Her mind lit up like a storm. Did I do something wrong? Are they cutting hours? Are they about to criticize my work? Are they about to restructure the team? Is this the beginning of the end? You know that feeling, right? The mind takes one small piece of information and builds a whole disaster movie, not because you enjoy suffering, but because the nervous system believes that imagining the worst will protect you from being surprised. This is one of the strangest forms of attachment. Attachment to fear, because fear can feel like control. If you expect pain, you think you can handle it. But the truth is that rehearsing pain is still pain. You are still paying the emotional cost in advance, often for a future that never arrives. Nia got out of bed and made coffee. The coffee smelled comforting for about 3 seconds. Then, the thoughts returned. She looked out the window and saw the street, ordinary and gray. People walking, cars moving, life continuing without caring about her anxiety. That contrast made her feel even more alone. She remembered something she had heard in a weekly reading the night before. She had clicked on it almost accidentally, half mocking herself for wanting spiritual comfort. The message had said, "No need to worry, there is much to celebrate." At the time, she had rolled her eyes. Celebrate what? I have deadlines. I have rent. I have responsibilities. I do not have the luxury to float around pretending everything is fine. But now, standing in her kitchen, she heard the words again, not as a promise, but as a question. What if worry is not helping me right now? That was the first bell. In Midden in's practice, the bell is not always a sound. Sometimes the bell is a sentence that interrupts the trance. The trance says, "Keep worrying, or you will be unsafe." The bell says, "Notice what you are doing." Nia placed her mug down and did something she had not done in months. She sat on a chair without opening anything. No scrolling, no checking, no planning. She breathed. At first, it felt pointless. The mind said, breathing will not fix your job. Breathing will not pay bills. Breathing will not stop bad news. But she kept breathing anyway, because a deeper part of her was tired of being chased by her own thoughts. She noticed the sensations, the tight chest, the restless hands, the jaw clenched like she was holding back words. She did not try to force it away. She simply watched it. This is the beginning of awakening. You stop being the emotion and start seeing the emotion. Fear is here, she whispered. That small naming created space, and in that space, a second bell rang. If fear is here, what is the wise response? Wise response does not mean pretending fear is not real. Wise response means you do not let fear drive the car. Nia got ready for work. On the train, she watched people around her. Everyone looked like they were living inside their own story. Someone stared into space. Someone smiled at a message. Someone looked exhausted. Nia suddenly felt tenderness. She realized she was not the only one worried about something. The whole city was a field of hidden fears. That tenderness softened her, and that softening was not weakness. It was compassion. Compassion begins when you recognize shared humanity. At her office, the day moved slowly. She worked, but her mind kept circling the upcoming conversation with her manager. Each time her mind drifted into catastrophe, she returned to the sentence, "No need to worry. There is much to celebrate." She did not fully believe it. She used it like a rope, not to climb into fantasy, but to climb out of panic. At midday, a co-worker named Jonah walked by and asked if she wanted to grab lunch. Nia almost said no. When you are anxious, your mind wants isolation because social interaction requires energy you feel you do not have. But she said yes. They walked to a small place nearby. As they sat, Jonah talked about ordinary things. A movie, a family story, a small joke. Nia found herself laughing for the first time in days. The laughter surprised her, like it came from a part of her she had forgotten existed. Then Jonah said something quietly. "You seem stressed lately. Are you okay?" Nia hesitated. She wanted to say she was fine. She had built a reputation as the steady one, the one who does not fall apart. But that reputation was also a prison, because if you never admit stress, you never receive support. She took a breath and told the truth. "I am worried about work. My manager said we need to talk." Jonah nodded as if he had been there before. "If it helps," he said. "Sometimes those talks are about opportunities, not problems. Sometimes it is about shifting responsibilities in a way that benefits you. And even if it is something uncomfortable, you will handle it better if you do not punish yourself in advance." Do not punish yourself in advance. That phrase hit Nia like another bell. She realized that her worry was self-punishment. She was whipping herself with imaginary scenarios and calling it preparation. Back at the office, the hour arrived. Nia walked to her manager's office. The door closed. Her manager smiled and said, "I want to talk about your growth." Nia blinked. The manager explained that a new project was opening, and they wanted Nia to take a lead role. The manager said they trusted her judgment and calm approach. The manager also said it came with a pay increase. For a moment, Nia felt dizzy. The mind that had been bracing for disaster did not know how to receive good news. This is another hidden effect of chronic worry. You become so used to anticipating harm that blessings feel unreal. She thanked her manager and walked out. She sat at her desk and stared at her hands. They were trembling slightly. Then she laughed quietly, half relieved, half embarrassed. "I spent the entire morning suffering for nothing," she thought, but a deeper thought followed. It was not for nothing if I learned something. That is the difference between pain and practice. Pain alone just hurts. Practice turns pain into wisdom. That night, Nia went home and decided to celebrate, not in a loud way, in a personal way. She cooked a meal slowly instead of rushing. She played music. She cleaned her space. She lit a simple candle and sat with her gratitude. And then something else came. Not only gratitude, but guilt. Why do I get good news when others struggle? Why am I lucky? Do I deserve this? This is a spiritual crossroads too. Some people cannot hold blessings because they feel undeserving. They sabotage themselves. They give away their gains. They shrink. They apologize for existing. Nia recognized the pattern. She had done it before. She would achieve something and then immediately downplay it. She would receive praise and then dismiss it. She would get a win and then fear that it would be taken away. This fear is also attachment. Attachment to impermanence as threat rather than truth. In Buddhist wisdom, impermanence is not meant to scare you. It is meant to wake you up. Everything changes. That means you cannot control outcomes forever. But it also means the current problem is not forever. It also means the current joy is precious. It also means you should not delay living until everything is guaranteed. Nia took a breath and made a choice. I will accept this blessing without guilt, she told herself. I will use it wisely. I will stay humble. I will stay kind. I will not turn it into arrogance. I will not turn it into fear. I will turn it into practice. That was the beginning of a new karmic loop. When you receive with gratitude and responsibility, you plant seeds of stability. When you receive with fear and guilt, you plant seeds of anxiety. The week continued. On Tuesday, Nia noticed something different in her body. She was still busy, but the panic was not leading. She had glimpses of calm. She started paying attention to how she spoke to herself. She realized her inner voice was harsh. It would say, "You should be further ahead. You are behind. You cannot relax yet. If you relax, you will fail." That voice was not wisdom. That voice was conditioning. So she practiced a new inner discourse. Not fake confidence, just kinder clarity. I can do this step by step. I can learn. I can rest and still be responsible. Each time she said it, her shoulders lowered slightly. That is the body responding to compassion. Compassion is not soft talk. Compassion changes physiology. It calms the nervous system. A calmer nervous system makes better decisions. Better decisions change destiny. On Wednesday, an old friend texted her. The friend was going through a rough breakup. The friend wrote long messages full of anger and despair. Nia felt the urge to respond with solutions. She often tried to fix people because fixing others made her feel useful, and usefulness made her feel safe. But she remembered another spiritual lesson. Compassion is not control. So she listened. She wrote back simple sentences of support. She asked gentle questions. She stayed present. She did not rush the friend into healing. She did not make the friend feelings inconvenient. Later, after the conversation, Nia noticed something surprising. She did not feel drained. She felt connected. She realized that real compassion is energizing when it comes from presence rather than from ego. This is beyond wealth too, beyond money, beyond achievement. There is the wealth of being able to love without clinging and help without controlling. On Thursday, the new project began to feel heavy. Nia realized that the lead role came with pressure, meetings, expectations, more visibility. The old worry tried to return, saying you will fail, you will be exposed, you will disappoint everyone. This is where celebration can become a trap if it turns into entitlement. Nia did not want that. She wanted grounded joy. So she returned to practice. She began starting each morning with 10 minutes of quiet. She watched her breath. She watched her thoughts. She named what arose. Fear is here. Excitement is here. Doubt is here. Pride is here. Naming helped her avoid being possessed by any one emotion. Then she set an intention. May I act with wisdom today. May I be compassionate. May I be clear. May I not create harm through stress. May I remember that success without peace is not success. That intention was a vow. In spiritual life, vows are not only religious. Vows are inner commitments that shape your karma. On Friday, something happened that tested her vow. A co-worker criticized her in a meeting, not with cruelty, but sharply. The co-worker questioned her plan in front of others. Nia felt he tries. She felt the urge to defend herself aggressively. She felt the urge to humiliate the co-worker with facts. This is a karmic crossroads. In one path, she reacts and creates conflict. In the other path, she responds with calm clarity and preserves dignity. She took one breath, just one. That breath was the space where freedom lived. Then she said calmly, "Thank you for raising that concern. Let us clarify the goal and the constraints, and then we can adjust the approach if needed." Her tone was steady. She did not attack. She did not collapse. She invited clarity. The co-worker softened. After the meeting, another colleague messaged her privately unsaid, "You handled that really well." I would have snapped. Nia smiled. She realized that her calm response was not only good for the project, it was good for her karma. Each time, she chose wisdom over ego. She strengthened her ability to choose it again. That weekend, Nia finally understood the meaning of the message. No need to worry. There is much to celebrate. The celebration was not only the pay increase. The celebration was the new relationship with her mind. The celebration was the discovery that she could feel fear without obeying it. The celebration was the growth of compassion that did not make her weak. The celebration was the awakening that showed her worry was not love. It was control. Now I want to widen the story because Aquarius energy, in the symbolic sense, often points to something. Aquarius is oft unlinked to vision, independence, and the desire to live in a way that is true rather than merely accepted. Whether or not you follow astrology, you can recognize this human impulse, the impulse to break patterns and build a life that feels aligned. Alignment is the real celebration, because when you are aligned, you can handle both praise and criticism. You can handle both gain and loss. You can hold ambition without becoming cruel. You can hold responsibility without drowning in worry. This is where wisdom traditions agree with each other. They all point back to mind training. The mind is a powerful tool, but when it runs without awareness, it becomes a tyrant. Worry is one of the ways it tyrannizes you. It convinces you that anxiety is necessary for survival. But anxiety often reduces survival capacity because it narrows your attention and drains your energy. So what does it mean to truly not worry? It does not mean you ignore reality. It means you stop paying interest on imagined debt. It means you meet reality directly, take wise action, and release what you cannot control. It means you practice the difference between planning and obsessing. Planning is calm. Obsessing is panicked. Planning creates options. Obsessing creates tunnels. Planning respects cause and effect. Obsessing tries to control impermanence. In karma terms, planning plants seeds. Obsessing burns seeds in fire. So if you are listening and you feel like worry is your personality, I want you to hear this gently. Worry is not who you are. Worry is a habit. Habits can be retrained, not instantly, but steadily. Start with one breath. When your mind starts spinning, pause and name it. Worry is here. Then ask, what is the next wise action? Do the action. Make the call. Send the email. Write the list. Ask for help. Rest. Eat. Sleep. Whatever the wise step is. Then release the rest. Release does not mean you stop caring. Release means you stop pretending you can control every outcome. This is where compassion enters again. Many people worry because they care. They care about family. They care about success. They care about being responsible. The problem is that the mind confuses worry with love. Worry is not love. Love is presence and action. Worry is fear and rehearsal. So, celebrate your caring by turning it into wise action, not into mental suffering. Now let me share a personal echo that might match your life. I have known people who received good news and immediately felt anxious because they believed joy would invite punishment. They had learned early that happiness was fragile, that something bad would follow, so they could not fully celebrate. That is a painful karmic pattern. It turns life into constant bracing. The way out is practice, not forcing happiness, but allowing joy without gripping it, allowing gratitude without fear, allowing success without arrogance, allowing uncertainty without collapse. That is awakening. Another person I knew never celebrated anything. They were always chasing the next goal. When they achieved something, they would say, "Okay, next." They thought celebration was childish, but inside they were empty. One day they realized something simple. Without celebration, life becomes labor. Without gratitude, success becomes addiction. Without compassion, achievement becomes loneliness. They began celebrating small things, a finished task, a calm conversation, a healthy meal, a quiet morning. It changed their nervous system. It softened them. It made them more resilient. So when the message says there is much to celebrate, it may not be pointing to fireworks. It may be pointing to the small miracles you ignore because you are addicted to the next problem. The fact that you are still here is a miracle. The fact that you can breathe is a miracle. The fact that you can learn is a miracle. The fact that you can choose kindness is a miracle. The fact that you can pause and not react is a miracle. These are not poetic lines. These are practical sources of strength. And strength is what changes destiny. Now I want to close with a reflection that you can carry into your own week. If you are an Aquarius or not does not matter. The lesson is universal. Your mind will try to worry because it thinks worry is protection. Your practice is to teach your mind a new way to protect you. Protection through clarity. Protection through boundaries. Protection through preparation without obsession. Protection through compassion. Protection through the willingness to be present. And then, when you receive something good, even something small, practice celebration, not because you are naive, but because celebration trains your mind to recognize goodness without fear. Celebration loosens the grip of scarcity. Celebration reminds you that life is not only problems to solve, life is also moments to live. Thank you for spending this time with me. Now I want to hear from you. What is one thing you have been worrying about that you can treat as information rather than a verdict? And what is one small thing you can celebrate this week, even if nothing else changes? If you want more long-form storytelling that turns everyday life into lessons about awakening, wisdom, karma, compassion, practice, and destiny, Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment so this community can grow. If membership support is available and it fits your situation, it helps keep these deeper conversations alive. Until next time, take one slow breath, choose one wise action, and let your celebration be the proof that worry is not the boss of your life.